Welcome back, guys, in another video of mine, and in this video I will show you something special, something extraordinary, something surprisingly good. Well, I'm talking about that sword. You guys, you never guess from where I got that sword. If you're new in watching my video and you like the content of my YouTube channel, consider to subscribe. It's about 2 seconds to subscribe and it's entirely free. But with that action, you're helping me a lot by doing so. Thank you very much. Whoever guessed Temu, he is right. And I'm very surprised that sword is from there, because the sword is amazingly good. Now, why did I got that sword? Well, first of all, I wanted to try to take some sword from Temu. First of all, I tried to buy a long sword, but I got a huge discount. I don't know why the sword disappeared. After that, it took me for a few days to choose those swords because I wanted a sword. I like that sword, but the reviews on the seller was not that good. So I was wondering lots of days, but finally I decided to get that sword because Temu offered me three products for free. Actually, after I got that sword, I paid that sword, they never sent me the free items, which is a little bit disturbing. Well, let's get back to the sword. You might think that the sword is from Temu, and it is from Temu, but manufacturer, the swordsmith, is actually Swordier, a new company from China. I started to wonder why that sword is so amazing. After that, I searched the internet, and discovered that actually that sword is from Swordier, and surprisingly was cheaper than the Swordier. So, let's start with the sword itself. The sword itself, it's type 14, and surprisingly here, the blade is 6.5 centimeters at the base of the guard, which is surprisingly wide. But surprisingly, that sword is not that heavy. Actually, this is a typical sword, a short sword, because I ever told you that if you reach down with the hand, with the sword in the hand, and the tip of the blade or the blade itself doesn't touch the ground, so you have a short sword. In another videos, I mentioned that long swords are not always for two hands. For example, if you're fighting from the horseback and you're a knight which fight from the horseback, you will need longer blade to reach the enemy, which you are little bit higher from him, from the enemy. So, let's get back to the sword. For the price, this sword is actually epically amazing. Actually, this is the reason I make that video, because I'm shocked how good this sword is. So, let's back to the blade. I'm sorry that I skip from one topic to another topic, but I'm seriously amazed by that sword. So, we have a fuller which runs almost through entire blade. And it's polished, mirror polished, but actually this is amazing because everything is made nicely. And surprisingly for me, that blade is straighter than the other swords I got, which swords are not that cheap. And actually the blade of the sword is amazingly straight for the price range of the sword. And I need to mention that the sword comes sharp. Maybe one disadvantage of the sword is that the one side of the blade is more sharp than the other, but that is easily fixable. Now, we move back to the hilt. First of all, the crossguard. The crossguard is amazing actually because it's very much decorated. It's typical for that type of sword, and I believe actually that the crossguard and the pommel is made from stainless steel because that part of the sword is a little bit different. The handle is in oval form, which I prefer and always liked it. The pommel is a little bit fancy, and actually I like that in the sword. And that was the one reason that I got that sword. And it's actually amazing. The wrap of the handle is actually from black leather. How you see here, actually the sword have a distant taper, which means it's thicker at the crossguard, and when we go at the point, the distant taper is much thinner. Actually, the blade it's much thinner. That means the blade have distant taper. So I actually hold the sword, so I will show you the flexibility of the blade, which is not much. But how I mentioned in previous videos, actually the historical blades are not always flexible because you need to stab people and never in the back. So you see here, the sword have not much that flex, which is actually good if you want to go at war and fight somebody. I never mentioned the characteristics of the sword, which I will write it down on the description of that video. I want to mention here that the steel doesn't ring when you hit it like that, or when you swipe it against another blade. I mentioned that for a blade, the blade needs to sink a little bit, and that means the steel is good. How long the blade sinks, that means the blade is good. Actually, the steel is good. And this is the thing that I doesn't like. Makes me wonder that is the steel of that sword is good? Never mind. Let's begin with the scabbard itself. I mentioned earlier in the video that I like the pommel. It's amazing. It's actually the whole sword is fancy. It's amazing in his aesthetics and so on. But the first reason I got that sword is the pommel itself. And the second, another reason that I got that sword, it's actually the scabbard. We have wooden core covered in synthetic leather, and we have a metal end at the scabbard, which protects the scabbard and the sword itself. Actually, the scabbard protects the sword and the metal end, it's actually protecting the scabbard itself. Even though the leather is synthetic, and for the price you got that amazing scabbard, it's actually good. Because let's say that for me the sword is not cheap, but if you have in mind how much expensive the good swords are, this sword falls at the cheaper end of the swords. And the sword comes with that amazing scabbard with wooden core, leather, yes, synthetic leather, but either way it's good. Metal chapel, I don't know how to pronounce it, but this is amazing. And actually, the sword, when you put that sword in the scabbard, he falls from the scabbard really hard. It's not just falls off the scabbard, you need to shake it or just pull it out from the scabbard with little bit force, which actually in the previous short video I show you that the good scabbard must be that way. The scabbard comes with the synthetic belt, not real leather, of course. I changed the buckle. Actually, I modified the belt itself. Before I modified was actually two hooks at the one end on the scabbard which attach to the belt, which I remove it, and actually I attached the belt to that hook, and I made it actually, for my opinion, little bit nicer. And when I try to attach the new buckle, I hope I pronounce it right, I was not prepared for that. This is the reason why it looks little bit clumsy and ugly, because I attach it with a leather strap. But overall, that sword is epically amazing. I'm shocked that sword is actually from Temu. And I mentioned that actually that sword is from Swordier. A few months before that, in the summer of that year, I actually reached out to Swordier and asked them to send me a sword, which I liked it. I asked it, how much will be shipment to the Bulgaria? They told me that it's not that cheap, so I didn't buy a sword from Swordier, which the swords from that company looks amazing. When I saw that sword and buy it from Temu, I started to wonder that that sword actually reminds me of one sword from Swordier. And I was shocked, because actually that means the Chinese company, Swordier, makes amazing swords. And somebody, if you have chance to buy a sword from Swordier, don't hesitate. They have amazing swords. That was for now, guys. I hope you liked the video. And if you do, hit that like button under it. And if you not subscribed to my channel, I will be more than happy if you do so. Bye guys, and see you soon.